Alright, breaker. Christ or credit? What's the price? What's the edit? I'm alive. I don't credit the source. I just drive. I don't ever want to go back again to the old routine. I don't love to have to stay where they don't respect love's magician. But I've seen you creep across rooms that they won't keep you away. There's no rose on Tuesday. Sleeping on the way to work, sleeping on the way across the road. Yeah, can't you see those rays? They forget me. Then they won't remember me. Then they won't remember me. You can't see they blasted me, they racketed me, they destroyed me with their hopeless feet, with their hopeless fears that I can't see, that I can't see. I Now, before we move on to side 2, or side B of this LP, I want to take a minute to address some stuff. There's some stuff that's been coming out the past couple of years. It's been really weak. A lot of people trying to dress up and act like this is some kind of fashion show. That cat in the hat ass. Trying to dress up, act like this is some sort of game. With your backing tracks and your multicolored electrical tape. And we told you on the Cuban Links record, don't bite our shit. But you're not trying to hear me. Said, you can't make art from someone else's era. He said, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect that your art has to come out. You know, Lockett, you know what I'm talking about? Lockett. You know, like you can't make art that isn't from your own era. You have to express yourself from the materials that you have at hand. You can't just create art on demand. It's not a product, you know. And the way promoters are controlling the music industry these days, record labels lost control a long time ago. But we told him on the Cuban Links record, I heard it explicitly. Did you hear it, Lockett? I mean, it was on the Cuban Links record. This was like 95, 96. It was all explained on the Cuban Links record. And, you know, those answers were ignored. The door was ignored. And if we ignore a door, you know what Richard Hell, hey guys, you remember our buddy Richard Hell? Lockett? You remember him? Tall guy. Well-dressed. You know what he said? He said, time is a door, and you better not ignore that door. I don't think he actually said that. I just made it up. But I'm attributing it to him. This is not a joke, and this is not comedy, kids. This is real improvised rock music. To make a shout out to Adrian Ballou and David Bowie for making this all happen, making it all possible for us, you know, even though they're from a different, they made art out of their time, you know, and like Kandinsky said, you know, we have to make art out of ours. So here, let's take it one last round, guys, and let's make art for our time, all right? Never forget the promoter. Let's go shopping. Let's go buy some products.
Hi, I'm Travis Holcomb, and you're listening to Morning Becomes Eclectic, and I am here with Bradford Cox, lead man of Deerhunter. Thank you so much for that session.
I wouldn't
No.
really want to be called a lead man.
What would you like to be called?
Just an agent.
An agent of Deerhunter.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, and thank you for doing
Thanks.
that session. It sounded incredible.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that there's some radio stations out there that would still allow us to just do what we can do within the constraints of time and explore the room we're in and stuff like that, as opposed to carbon copying our album for some kind of promotional scheme.
Well, speaking of the new album, it's called Fading Frontier, and I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what that means, Fading Frontier.
Well, it's good. It means whatever it means to the audience. You know, when they look at the image on the cover by John Davola, who's here, a California artist who took that photograph at Point Zuma in, I think, 1978, maybe mid-70s. I don't want to be incorrect there, but I think if you look at that picture, and you read the title, Fading Frontier, you're gonna have some kind of idea of what is being said, but it is sort of up to you to sort of fully fill it out. To me, my personal take, I mean, it's not that I feel like my artistic or creative interests are fading, or my ability to improvise with my group, or other artists, or visually, graphically, film, things of that nature. But I feel that culture, and I'm not just blaming industries that propagate culture, but culture itself is fading a bit. Tastes are being engineered. Everything is content. Everything is editorial. Everything is this designed to push you one way or another, and I just don't feel that. I feel very diminished by that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do you feel like that's more prevalent now, or just under the magnifying glass, just because?
Well,
there's
I think
more
that when you
outlets?
remove the blanket of let's say, okay, for example, like a record label like Virgin, they would sign Royal Trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And why did they sign Royal Trucks in 1992 or 93, for like $1 million+ allegedly?
Right.
Why did they do that? Very clearly, they did it, and they said as much. As far as I know, I think it's something you could credit. You could source the quote, but I think it's it was during a rush where everybody wanted to find the next Nirvana. They saw money in it. They saw content advertising. They saw a big empire,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes in order to attract that sort of creative talent, you have to lure them in with bait. And so they said, who's the most, esoteric band we could sign to lure these people in? And Royal Trucks, of course, have this very, I wasn't alive. Well, I was alive. I wasn't around. I'm not trying to act like I'm an expert. But, I was thinking about Royal Trucks a lot lately. And, they just reunited. And I was thinking about that kind of thing. What I'm getting at here is that in the past, corporations like Virgin, major labels, would sign bands, and so you would get these accidental avant-garde kind of things leaking into the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, now that the corporate music industry is pretty much on a breathing machine, paid for by other corporations who need it for credibility. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Time Warner kind of bullshit. Excuse the language. Basically, now that the music industry, including the independents, are on a breathing machine, so-called independents, there's not really a great way of sneaking, a paint bomb into the Louvre. What is that? It's the Paris, the Louvre?
Yeah.
Yeah, can't really
it's hard to sneak in like a stink bomb to the pep rally, you know?
Right.
And so I just feel like, you know, things like Road Trucks, Sonic Youth, a lot of bands when I was 12 years old, they had a big influence on me, and they made me think, you know, you don't have to have everything figured out in advance. You don't have to, you know, there was an improvisation in that music.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to overplay it because a lot of those bands might argue with that. They might say, no, we weren't. Like, it's like, you know, Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band. If you said they were, it sounds improvisational, but they can replay every single note verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, what I'm saying is it comes from a place that's not designed comfort, you know?
Right.
It's not like IKEA music. And, you know, it's not, you know, it's like wabi-sabi, you know, the Japanese aesthetic of imperfection, you know, and it's dangerous to marketing executives unless they can commandeer it and capitalize on it. It's just something on my mind recently. You know, I'm not overly, like, you know, people can call me a hypocrite. People can say, well, you're on a big label. You have all this money behind you. Well, you know, I never asked for anything. I never sent out a demo in my life. Never asked any label to pay attention to me. I never asked for any. Do I look like I have the fucking face of somebody that would end up asked to play your radio station, or you know what I mean? If you saw the 12-year-old me, you'd just be like, oh, I hope that kid doesn't like attempt conversation with me. You know, I'm just saying, it's just really, I never thought I had any kind of future in this. It just happens. So when people say to me, but you have all these opportunities, I didn't ask for any of them. And I'll tell you what I come from. I come from a very, very blue-collar, middle-class, unentitled background, you know, where the idea of playing music for an audience is thrilling. And it still to this day is.
Mm-hmm.
To have people care about what I'm doing is a lot more valuable to me than what some promotional record cycle paid for advertising scheme, you know, whatever. It's just the idea. All I want to do is make people happy, entertain them, you know, and maybe entertain them with something that's not necessarily funny or uplifting. Entertain them with pathos. And I just think it's a lot of music these days is getting very formulaic, but it's always been that way. But there's always been an underground to challenge, and it's like the political system, you know. You're taught in government class in 8th grade. There's a system of checks and balances in the American government. This is what we're taught.
Mm-hmm.
So that one thing can't overstep another. And in the past, there's always been a very vibrant underground and a very strong, you could say, dissonant minority to challenge the mainstream. Now that the mainstream is, you know, in critical care, I don't see anything rising to challenge. You know, it's like everybody is just complacent, and a lot of the underground music is becoming an imitation of the aesthetics that previously were the dominating force, the oppressive force, the 80s aesthetic. And I mean, okay, I'm sure you could say, well, your album has sort of an 80s aesthetic, that breezy, I keep hearing that word, breezy, da-da-da-da-da. You know, I don't know. Maybe that's true. I could be hypocritical. But I feel like, you know, I was in improvisation. I've been reading Concerning the Spiritual in Art by Kandinsky, the modernist. I guess he's a modernist. Artist, visual artist. He wrote a book. Really interesting. You know, and he talks about the only purpose of a great work of art, I mean, or the only way a great work of art is, I don't want to paraphrase the quote. It blew me away when I read it. I urge the listeners to go out and try to find a copy. I think it's like, you know, the first paragraph of the book. it's such a great encapsulation of what it means to create something, to contribute to the ever evolving continuum of music, art, books, culture, visual, It's important. It's not a job, and it's not something that should be taken so lightly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a playlist, Culture is in danger right now. It's streaming right into a void. You know what I mean? Everything is available all the time. Sounds like some biblical thing that, whether you're religious or not, that kind of decadence is always met with some weird, terrible thing happening, like people turning into pillars of salt or something. You can't have an entire history of music available to you at all times, because the meaning and the context of each part of that music, why a Romanian composer from the 40s was very dangerous to the linear timeline of music, it becomes lost in the ether. It's just another thing on a playlist, Something that changed the world is just another thing on a playlist, and it's got less hits than what's the number one thing played on your station today?
It's probably Disclosure.
Disclosure is killing, Penderecki. Christoph Penderecki, hello?
I don't know. I'm not familiar.
Really? Messiaen? Oliver Messiaen?
Mm-mm.
Invented, changed chromatic.
But don't you feel like nowadays, if, now I will go check that out, and it's available, and just as soon as I get back to my computer, I can go and access it.
Well, the problem with that, I think, is this. You're going to access it, and you're going to say, oh, that's what that is.
Yeah.
And it won't go beyond that. Maybe you look at the Wikipedia page. But data has become so free that it can only become cheap. And by cheap, I don't mean that it costs me something or you something to learn about what the history of culture, but cheap because it means less to us.
Mm-hmm.
When I was young, and I'm not old now, I guess, in technical terms, but when I was a young boy, there was an incredible, dangerous electricity to going to the library and digging through the discs, the vinyl, the books about 20th century music. I went from liking Hole to liking something like Sonic Youth, to liking. Well, that's not really true. I liked Sonic Youth before. I'm trying to give an example of how somebody finds out about Sonic Youth, and then Sonic Youth. Okay, back in those times, you would hear Kim Gordon referring to, well, actually, you'd hear her refer to a lot of LA artists, or you hear her refer to. I really admired and looked up to Kim Gordon, and I always said I don't want to grow up to be like Thurston Moore, whatever, I don't want to be like him, because I just sense something fetishistic about his. He collects it all. He has rooms and he has that record collector vibe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Kim Gordon seems like someone to me that appreciates each thing that they're listening to at the time. It's less about appreciating a genre or collecting everything of that genre. It's more like, of the Fluxists, I like Nam June Paik. And I'm going to focus on that artist's work. I'm not going to refer to the Fluxus as a general collective and only, you know what I'm saying? There's two types of mindsets about about underground art, There's the collectivist idea of let's refer to the brutalist movement in architecture. Let's refer to the serialists in music, you know? Let's refer to this. Or you can say, I'm just interested in this one guy, you know, or girl, one Pauline Oliveros. You know, I'm just interested in, or in early electronic music. You know, you have Laurie Spiegel or, you know, Daphne Oram, all these people, you know. And it's like, you want to get interested in early electronic music as a genre, or do you want to get into it because you find somebody that you're really interested in whose work speaks to you? I guess it all, to me, it becomes a matter of are we treating culture like a commodity that's curated by like a boutique culture, sort of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Cottage stuff, you know? Or are we really giving it like, okay, this is somebody who's actually changing the way that we think about cinematography? Like Sven Nykvist, you know, or how do you, any of the cameramen in this room know who I'm talking about? God,
I think it's Nykvist.
Is this
You're talking
the thing about LA?
Woody Allen's cinematographer, right?
Well, he was Ingmar Bergman's.
Okay, yeah.
And then he, you know, this is so funny because, you know, like I grew up thinking when I was a little boy, I lived in little towns. The biggest of which, to me, I guess in my memory, is Athens, was a very cultural town. And but you know, I lived in small towns, Greenville, Mississippi. I grew up, you know, I met Locke and Marietta, Georgia. And, you know, I always thought someday I'll get to big cities like LA and New York City, and they'll know the stuff I'm into. I can have a conversation about a Swedish cinematographer, or, you know, sort of these things I got into through bands like Sonic Youth. So technically through David Geffen, I found out about Charlemagne Palestine. Or, you know, some obscure artist. Thanks, David Geffen. Want to just shout out to David Geffen. You know, I'm saying it's like, I always thought, you know, I'll come to LA. I'll come to New York, you know. And I'll meet all these people and they'll know what the fuck I'm talking about. They'll be interested in the same things I'm interested in. Maybe I'll find a romantic partner, a soulmate. You want to know why I'm asexual?
Why?
Because I showed up in LA and New York and all the other LAs and New Yorks and Tokyos and Parises and Londons of the world in my early 20s with a head full of ideas. And I didn't find that many people that... I found a lot of people playing dress up. A lot of people dressing up. They don't really give two SHITs about... what this art, what this visual art, what this music, what this literature, they appreciate the cover, they appreciate the t-shirt. I find it superficial, and it made me depressed, and I said, I can't relate to this, you know? I'm not saying I'm smarter than other people. I'm not saying that I'm just saying I have a hard time finding people to connect with. Part of that is probably because I'm viewed as a loud-mouthed brat. Probably viewed as an annoying, cloying, self-congratulatory, arrogant person who probably thinks he's so smart about art and everything. Oh, but he plays really boring indie rock. You know, that's probably why. It's confusing. That would be a sad thing to hear me say if I actually gave a shit what anybody thinks, you know. And I mean that like, if I didn't believe that the music I was making was interesting to the point of signing my name to it, you know?
I'll ask a really interview question, but...
I think you deserve to be able to do that. You put up with my...
No, but if you weren't a musician, I mean, you've been in this band for 10 years now. And you were
longer than
playing
that. It's
music
really
this,
difficult for people to understand that Deerhunter is like a stream. And it's been going on in different forms for a lot longer than 10 years. It's I made the first cassette of my music in 1994. I know that sounds precocious, and so obviously it's not on Discogs, so I mean, whatever. But it's just sort of like, I mean, the concept of like, when people say, oh, you've been doing this for 10 years, I'm like, huh, you know, 10 years ago I was on tour with Liars, you know, one of the greatest bands I've ever toured with. Continue with your question. I mean, that was to me like the middle of Deerhunter, you know? That wasn't the early years.
So
that
it
was
started when you were roughly 12?
Well, no,
then?
I mean, I started creating the work that would become... Spring Hall Convert was written when I was 13 or 14 years old. The song of Cryptograms. There are songs on Fading Frontier that are probably from... I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a song there that was written in 1998 or 99. Or at least a guitar section or something, you know? But I don't want to interrupt you. I want to...
No, it's all right. No, but have you ever thought about what you would be doing in life?
Absolutely. I had a conversation with these guys filming us. I always did what I would be doing. I've worked... I got my first job at Wendy's when I was 14 years old with a forged work consent paper. And that's on Wendy's, not on me. So their legal department can handle that one. I grew up in a family that did not have a lot of money. And we struggled. And so when I was old enough, you know, I worked. Well, actually, before I was old enough. And I'm not trying to give some kind of, I come from hard times bullshit. I'm just saying, I worked my life. I've always worked. And if this ended tomorrow, I would work. And what I did right before, when Deerhunter started, for years I worked. I was a graphic designer, but not in some kind of like arty way. I designed graphics for like signs, open house Sunday, visit our new location at such a, vinyl signs. I cut them out. I worked at a film lab doing color grading. I played music as a hobby. And I think that's where a lot of our success came from, is if you treat something like it's going to make or break you, it will probably break you. Do you know how I always win poker games?
How?
I don't give a shit if I win or lose. You bet like that, you know? Aspiration and ambition aren't terrible qualities. Certainly some of the people that changed art that I was talking about, they were aspirational. They were ambitious, you know. It's not, you know. It's just when your aspiration and your ambition become the engine of what you're creating. That to me is a weakness, you know. I was very lucky that never happened. It is difficult to grow old in a world where music is truly asphyxiating on its own vomit. And everybody seems fine with it. And I'm not saying I do anything to correct the situation. I'm not saying my music's great, go buy my album. The message of this interview is not... Now, if you want something different, if you want to see the new... vote for me. I'm not Bernie Sanders, you know. I'm not, like, trying to offer some impossible solution. Like, buy my album and you're going to hear some indie rock. Centrist indie rock. Hopefully, somebody will hear me talking and say, I don't like his music. I like what he's saying. I'm going to go start a band.
There you have it. Bradford Cox from Deerhunter on Morning Becomes Eclectic.
Become eclectic. Make all your mornings eclectic.